Hi, this is Joan, Director of Education and Visitor Engagement at the Westmoreland Museum of American Art, inviting you to take another virtual look at an artwork in our collection. Today we're going to look at a sculpture by an artist named Schuler. The artwork we're looking at was created in 1901 in bronze, and it's called Ariadne. Let's take a look together, shall we? Take a moment to take in the pose and the details in Ariadne as the artist has shown her. What are some of the words that come to mind as you look at Ariadne in this pose? Maybe relaxed, at ease, comfortable. Perhaps she's sunbathing. She looks like her arm is draped across a rock and her head is resting in her hand. Let's take a look at her from another angle, shall we? Once again, looking at her from this angle, we might think she looks very relaxed, she's at ease, beautiful young woman, perhaps sunbathing. But let's get in close and take a look at that left hand, shall we? Now that arm is wrapped around that rock, but it looks like her hand is gripping the rock. You can see some tension in there. Take a look at her right hand. That hand seems to be gripping her head a little tightly. Maybe there's the suggestion of some tension in there. Let's take a look at Ariadne from another angle, shall we? Now, as we look at Ariadne from this angle, we're going to go in and take a close look at that right hand. What do you notice? Can you see how the artist is depicting her hair? Her fingers are running through that hair, almost as if, again, admitting that there's some kind of anguish and distress going on in this figure. Let's take a look at her from another angle. This time, we're going to look at Ariadne's face. Let's get in close and take a look. What do you notice about her facial features? If you look very closely, you can even see something by her right eye. Can you tell what that is? That's right, it's a tear. Now, what are some of the words that we would use to perhaps describe Ariadne? Anguish, perhaps. Distraught. Heartbreak. So a sculpture that we initially thought might have been a lovely young woman sunbathing and relaxed has turned out to be a woman that is in distress of some kind. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the story of Ariadne, she was a princess from Greek mythology and the daughter of King Minos. She fell in love with the Athenian hero Theseus, who was sent to her father's island to kill the Minotaur, a beast that was half bull and half man, that was kept in a labyrinth as a prisoner of King Minos. Now, you might be surprised to learn that the Minotaur was also Ariadne's half-brother. Believe me, Greek mythology is full of tales that have twists and turns even more than you might actually find in a labyrinth itself, even more than you would find in a soap opera today. In fact, I think a lot of Greek mythology was the equivalent of today's soap opera. There are many depictions of Ariadne and Theseus and the Minotaur throughout Greek art, and they've been popular subjects actually throughout art until the current day almost. In fact, the most current reference I could find to Ariadne was actually in pop culture in the movie Inception, which was filmed in 2010, and one of the characters in it was named Ariadne, who ironically was brought in to design mazes in dreams that people wouldn't be able to find their way out of. Anyway, back to the story of Ariadne and Theseus and why Ariadne was so distraught looking in our sculpture. So Ariadne helped Theseus escape from the labyrinth after killing the Minotaur. She gave him a yarn or a thread to help find his way back out. So when he went into the labyrinth, he tied it to a rock at the entrance and was able to unwind it and then wind it back up to find his way back out. In return, he promised that he would marry Ariadne for helping him escape. In reality, he abandoned her on the island of Naxos, and that is what the artist is depicting for us here. The heartbreak and the anguish of a woman who has woken up to find out that she's been abandoned by a man who promised to take her with him. Fortunately, the story has a happy ending, however. The island of Naxos was the home of the Greek god Dionysus. Dionysus was the god of wine and good times for the most part, and he fell in love with Ariadne and married her. And on their marriage day, he took the crown that she was wearing and he threw it into the sky and created a constellation in honor of Ariadne. So I would say Ariadne, fortunately, ended up with a better deal. Instead of being stuck with an Athenian hero who is going off on other adventures, she got to marry the god of good times. And I'll raise a glass to that. It's just water, though. I'm looking forward to joining you again next week in another look at an artwork in our collection. Until then, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you.